God calls us to awaken him. How will he find us when he comes?
Awake and ready.
And when he asks us to dedicate our lives ever more perfectly to him, how will he find us?
Awake and ready.
Divine Mother,
Divine Mother,
Heavenly Father,
Heavenly Father,
friend, beloved God,
friend, beloved God,
great Master,
great Master,
Jesus Christ,
Jesus Christ,
Babaji Krishna,
Babaji Krishna,
Lahiri Mahashaya,
Lahiri Mahashaya,
Swami Shri Yukteswar,
Swami Shri Yukteswar,
beloved Guru,
beloved Guru,
Paramahansa Yogananda,
Paramahansa Yogananda,
saints of all religions,
saints of all religions,
we humbly bow to you all.
we humbly bow to you all.
Awaken within us,
Awaken within us
your divine love,
your divine love,
your unconditional love.
your unconditional love.
Make us your emissaries in this world,
make
Make
us
us your emissaries in this world,
that we share your blessings
that we share your blessings
with everyone we meet.
with everyone we meet.
We are yours.
We are yours.
Bring us home to thee.
Bring us home to thee.
Om.
Om.
Peace.
Peace.
Amen.
Amen.
Please have a seat.
I will lift up my eyes unto the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord, who made the heavens and the earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is the shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve thee from evil. He shall preserve thy soul. The Lord shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth, and even
Continue to meditate as we listen to these words from Affirmations for Self-Healing on the quality for this week, non-injury. Non-injury is a fundamental rule in the spiritual life. It means primarily an attitude of mind. Outwardly, one cannot avoid doing a certain amount of injury, for example, to flying insects when driving one's car. The harm one does, however, by wishing harm to others hurts not only them, but even more especially oneself. Spiritually, a harmful attitude separates one from the harmony and oneness of life. Non-injury, on the other hand, embraces that oneness and is in turn sustained by it. Non-injury is a powerful force for victory, for it enlists cooperation from the very universe, where harmfulness incites endless opposition. Let's affirm together, first in a strong voice and then progressively softer. I send out the rain of blessings to all.
I send out the rain of blessings to all.
That love be nourished in hearts.
That love be nourished in hearts.
That heretofore have known only hate.
That heretofore have known only hate.
I send out the rain of blessings to all.
I send out the rain of blessings to all.
That love be nourished in hearts.
That love be nourished in hearts.
That heretofore have known only hate.
That heretofore have known only hate.
I send out the rain of blessings to all.
I send out the rain of blessings to all.
That love be nourished in hearts.
That love be nourished in hearts.
That heretofore have known only hate.
That heretofore have known only hate.
Now in a whisper, I send out the rain of blessings to all. That love be nourished in hearts. That heretofore have known only hate. Mentally broadcasting from the spiritual eye, I send out the rain of blessings to all. That love be nourished in hearts. That heretofore have known only hate. Pray silently with me. Divine Mother, when others seek to hurt me, give me the wisdom to see that victory lies in blessing them, not in revenge. If I respond with anger, the loss will be mine, even if mine also is the outward victory, for inwardly I will have been hurt indeed. But if I return blessings for their blows, I shall remain ever safe within the impregnable walls of my inner peace. Oh, peace. Good morning, friends. Very nice to see you all. Oh, hello, Dale. Hello. I'm Narayan. I think we know mostly everyone, but if not, I'm Narayan, and this is my wife, Dharmadevi. And every week we share from this book, Rays of the One Light. These are weekly commentaries on the Bible and the Bhagavad Gita. And this week's topic is, do you need a guru? Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda. Many people scoff at the idea of having a guru. True to human nature, generally they make a virtue of their scoffing. I am responsible for what I do, they announce. Responsible for my mistakes as well as for my victories. What would I ever learn if I handed over my development to someone else? To depend on another for guidance would be an act of spiritual cowardice. It would be understandable for someone gifted with some trivial ability, for instance with words, to insist on doing his crossword puzzle himself without letting anyone else help him. But supposing even in such trivial matters he had no such gift, what virtue would there be in refusing to learn? For that matter, moreover, where do our gifts come from? They are not a native ability. Still, crossword puzzles are hardly an important challenge. What if a person wanted to do something daring, to climb a cliff, for instance, but refused to study the art of mountain climbing? He would climb at the risk of his life. And how much more is risk than physical life in the great adventure of the divine search, where the risk is to salvation itself? Where is the sacrifice in seeking guidance? Even a mountain guide wouldn't presume to do one's climbing for one. His purpose would be only to help the neophyte to climb safely. To have a wise guru is not a sign of weakness, but of plain common sense. All the saints, aware as they are of the hazards of the adventure, agree on the importance of having a guide or guru. And these are the heroes speaking, not cowards or spiritual weaklings. Jesus emphasized the importance of having a teacher by asking John to baptize him. In the Gospel of St. Matthew, chapter 3, we read of his coming to John. Thus Jesus said to John, "It becometh us to fulfill all righteousness." In the Bhagavad Gita, the 4th chapter, Sri Krishna says, "Open thyself to those who have attained wisdom. They will be thy teachers. Ask questions of them, both verbally and mentally. Serve them faithfully and with devotion." How is the devotee to recognize one who has attained wisdom? The Bhagavad Gita gives us this inspiring description of the sage. "By this sign is he known, being of equal grace to comrades, friends, chance-comers, strangers, lovers, enemies, aliens, and kinsmen, loving all alike, evil or good." Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'd like to start by reading to you from Whispers from Eternity. This is the demand to be fed with the cosmic rays. I entered my temple of silence, seated with a straight spine. I switched off the dazzling, diverting light of energy, animating my sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. I commanded my breath to cease its cleansing work in the body and make no noise. I ordered my heart to suspend its dictatorship over my myriad body cells, forcing them to eat the blood it sends them. I sat still and listened. Then, Mother, I heard the soft approach of thy footsteps. Thou didst come, bearing an overflowing chalice of life-sustaining spiritual rays. Sustain me evermore, O Divine Mother, with thy rays of life-giving light. The heart, cells, brains, and thoughts of this body, thy body, not mine, will waste no longer with decay. Lo, they are now immortal with thy everlasting life. So it's quite something that today the topic is, do we need a guru? And Friday we celebrated Guru Purnima, which is one of the most auspicious days when the full moon happens in July each year, is when we celebrate the guru, who is seen as the dispeller of darkness. So rather than talk about whether we need a guru or not, because we talk about that a lot, I'd like to talk about how we can, as Yogananda said, press our advantage with the guru. And so along those lines, I'd like to read to you from Autobiography of a Yogi. And this is when Yogananda says those words. Gratefully I accept your authority in every detail of my life on one condition. This is Yogananda talking. Yes, says Sri Yukteswar, that you promise to reveal God to me. An hour-long verbal tussle ensued. A master's words cannot be falsified. It is not lightly given. The implications in the pledge open out vast metaphysical vistas. A guru must be on intimate terms indeed with the Creator before he can obligate him to appear. I sensed Sri Yukteswar's divine unity and was determined, as his disciple, to press my advantage. So what are some ways that we can press our advantage with the Guru? One, there are 3 that I'd like to share with you, and maybe I'll get to them all, maybe I won't. But the first being clarity of thought. And, you know, it's easy when we come to Sunday service and when we're meditating to feel that all we really want is God, right? That's what we're going for. But then we leave our meditation seat and we get in an argument with our partner. And are we still thinking, all I want is you, God? Or are we going, God, all I want is some peace and quiet? Or all I want is a harmonious relationship? Is that really so much to ask? Well,
This is in self-commentary.
So, along these thoughts, no, this is actually inspired by a dear friend of ours who we had a conversation with recently. But I took that inspiration and wrote a blog about it yesterday that it's gonna come out on Tuesday, but I'm gonna share it ahead of time with you, and I hope you enjoy it. It's called What You Want versus What You Really Want. Swami Kriyananda said, sometimes what you want and what you really want are miles apart. I'm extremely grateful for the times that I received direct, and I mean direct, guidance from Swamiji. I had lots of ideas, and many of them were not quite on target. Swamiji was usually subtle and understated in the direction he gave, and rarely gave it at all, but at times he could be blunt. When I asked for his guidance on moving to the East Coast to help start an Ananda community there, he said, "That's a harebrained idea." That's all he said, by the way. And when I thought about starting a healing center in Topanga Canyon based on the teachings of Paramhansa Yogananda, his response was, "That might give you some good karma, but you won't soar in bliss." Someone might hear these stories and think, how oppressive. I could never have someone telling me what to do all the time. Can't she think for herself? But every time the guidance came, I accepted it wholeheartedly and knew it was for my greatest good. At least I did eventually. What I think Swamiji was doing more than anything was helping me develop humility, the greatest attitude of discipleship. He was also teaching me how to focus my mind and energy on what I really wanted, God. He could see that learning to work together with my Guru Bhais, people who share the same Guru, would lead me more quickly to self-realization. It's easy to think about God when things are going well, but consider when life doesn't go according to our plans. When you're in an argument with your spouse, are you thinking, all I want is you, Lord? Or are you thinking, all I want is some peace and quiet? Or maybe even, all I want is a harmonious relationship. I'd like to recommend the practice of neti neti, a Sanskrit phrase meaning not this, not that. With neti neti, we use discrimination to discover the central reality that everything is ultimately God alone. Neti neti says, I'm not a woman, not this body, not this personality, nothing but my innate perfect soul nature. Reason follows feeling, Yogananda said, so don't wait to practice neti neti until you're in an argument or difficult situation. While in a positive, introspective state, try to train your mind to uncover what you really want. If you can do that successfully, you'll be more likely to succeed when an obstacle / opportunity arises. Think about, for example, what you like about your partner. Is it his beautiful smile or the sweetness you feel when you see it? Is that sweetness his, or is it coming from deep inside you? Is it yours, or is it Divine Mother's sweetness manifesting through both of you? What is really happening when you argue? Is he taking away your inner peace, or are you allowing anger to consume it? If you were determined to stay centered, could anyone take away your happiness? I'm reminded of a series of dreams I've had over the past few years where I'm in a bomb shelter with all of my friends. We're smiling, chanting, and laughing together in a bomb shelter. Circumstances are neutral. It is how we respond to them that makes them either good or bad. God is omnipresent. Find him within all of your relationships, all of your responsibilities, all of your life circumstances. If you can keep him at the forefront of your mind, you will see that everything that comes to you is through his grace. And if you really want only him, God will never let you down. So I had this inspiration, and it was neti neti is a jnana yoga practice, the practice of wisdom discernment. And so it's really cutting through everything. And yesterday, Narayan and George and Daniel and some others held our first family service with like 7 or 8 kids. There were balloons covering the entire floor, games and stories, everything for children, with children in mind. And so Narayan comes home, he looked a little bit exhausted and told me about all the stories and the games and keeping the kids interested, and they were so excited and so enthusiastic. And then I'm like, I have a blog to read to you. And I start reading this very jnanic blog, and his eyes just glaze over. Like, I was just with kids for 3 hours. Like, I can't understand what you're talking about. But, you know, when I really got to the heart of what this message was, it's so simple. Because God isn't complex. Jnana yoga isn't about complicating things so that it's like, wow, it's so profound I can't even understand it. It's about simplifying. It's not this, it's not that, it's just God. And so really, it was funny because I read it to him and he was just kind of blankly staring at me. And I said, no, it's just simple. It's just that we take away everything that's not God. And he was like, yeah, I get it, but I'm still, the cogs are still turning. But, you know, Sri Yukteswar said, Sri Yukteswar, who was the great Jnana avatar, the avatar of wisdom of Jnana Yoga. And he said, after writing this book called The Holy Science, that I haven't even been able to get through it, to be perfectly honest. I'm like, every year I'm going to read the Holy Science, and I start and I'm going through it and I'm just going, what? It's just these massive truths that are just so beyond our rational minds. But he gets at them in this really amazing way. But at the end of it, which I've skipped to several times because you see these equations and these formula but he says, I hope I've proved that the whole spiritual path is just about opening the heart and loving God. And so he comes back to, in that process of deep jnanic wisdom, that it's just about our love for God and that simple childlike, not childish, that childlike reverence and joy that comes when we seek God alone. So clarity of thought. If we can keep our thoughts always on God, and of course they're going to go astray. If it was just a matter of we switch a dial and we can tune into God all the time, that would be really easy. The whole point is that our mind goes astray. But can we then dig deeper beyond that? What is it that's really happening? What is it that I'm really seeking? Why do I have this hole in my heart that's longing for something more? What is that hole? Why is it that nothing seems to fill it? You know, that approach is really what Jnana Yoga is all about. And one way that we can press our advantage with the Guru. Another is to do what the Guru gives you to do. A friend of ours, we were checking Kriyas recently, and he said very sweetly, I haven't been successful in my practice of Jyoti Mudra, which is a part of our Kriya Yoga technique, specifically designed to see the light of the spiritual eye. And so we talked for a little while, and then I said, by successful, do you mean you haven't seen the spiritual eye perfectly, or that you haven't been practicing it? And he had been practicing it, but a lot of times we think, I'm not doing it right, or I'm not successful because God hasn't come to me in all of his glory. When really, if we can get beyond the need for the experience, the fruit of our practice, then God comes. It's not that we get it right all of a sudden. Suddenly we did the perfect Kriya, and boom, God is there. Or we did our meditation, we went just beyond that one little minute where our mind was restless, and boom, we were in super consciousness. It's this process of unfolding. I remember, and I don't share this very often because it's strange, but Swami told a lot of strange stories, so I'll tell you this one. I was having a long period of very dry meditations and just feeling like I wasn't getting much of anywhere, maybe even going a little backwards. I don't know if anybody's felt that way, but so this long stretch, and you know, the mind can sometimes go, is this working? And I said, I know what you're doing, ego. I know what you're doing. It's not working. But this is actually the third thing that I wanted to share is perseverance. If we can persevere and just know that no matter what happens, God is always there. God is always here. He's right here. He's right within us. He's all around us. He's in every single thing. Every single thing would not exist without God. I would not be speaking to you. It wouldn't be warm in here. You wouldn't be sweating if it wasn't for God, right? So we persevere, and sorry, I lost my train of thought. Oh, so this long dry period, sorry, it's the heat, I think. Maybe we could turn the air on, but I'll finish my talk because then you won't be able to hear me. But long dry period, and through perseverance, I said, I don't care if nothing ever happens in my meditations for the rest of my life. I'm going to always meditate every single day, twice a day. No ego, you're not getting me. I don't care how long this goes on. If I never feel another thing in meditation, I'll still do it. And that night, I wasn't meditating. I was just laying down in bed, and I felt this like shock of electricity, like I was being electrocuted. And there was a moment where I thought, maybe I'm having a stroke, which God only knows, maybe I was. But these things happen when we're least expecting it. It's not that we do the practice and meditation and boom. Sometimes that happens for sure. But what I'm trying to say is that we don't know when God will come, when that divine presence will explode through our body and mind. And so we just have to keep the door open. We just hold the space for the Guru, for the divine. And we hold the space by doing that which he gave us to do. That's all. We just keep going, putting one foot in front of the other. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to do my best. Jyotish and Devi tell this story that they went to Swami Kriyananda, and someone had written a letter that really just said how terrible they are and what a terrible job they've done and this and that and all the things that were wrong with them and wrong with all of life probably. But they brought it to Swamiji and said, what do you think? He said, I'm doing the best for who I am. You're doing the best for who you are. And he's doing the best for who he is. There's no point in us getting wrapped up in who's right or wrong. I have a mind that just naturally works that way. Like, well, who's to blame? Whose fault was it? What happened and why? But if we can get beyond the need for who's right or wrong, life becomes so much more simple. It just is. It is this way. Do what we can do the best we can do in every moment. If we could have done better in that situation, we would have. So go on to the next one and do better. Do the best you can, and everything else will work out in the end. Thank you. God bless you.